Hi there, this is the Reti trap in the Three Knights, and it's taken from Richard Reti's game in 1914 against a certain Arthur Dunkelblum. After e4 and e5, white plays knight f3, knight c6 by black defends the pawn, and white plays knight c3, presumably heading for a 4 knights after black plays knight to f6. But here black plays bishop c5 instead. And this allows white to go into a type of Dracula Frankenstein idea with a temporary piece sacrifice with knight takes on e5. The idea being, since after knight takes e5, white thrusts the d-pawn in the center and forks the knight and the bishop and will recover the piece. In this position, black could simply play the bishop back to d6. That would give him more or less an equal game. But the two lines we're going to look at now are both pretty much losing. First, let's have a look at bishop takes on d4. Well, that allows queen takes on d4, attacking the knight. If the knight runs, then the pawn on g7 is loose. So black tries queen f6. But white now takes advantage of the fact that the queen is no longer defending c7, so knight b5 targets c7, and if black defends that by moving the king over now to d8, then queen to c5, a lovely little move, threatens mate on f8 as well as threatening the pawn on c7. So that's no good for black. Bishop takes on d4, not advisable for black. How about queen e7? Well, then white can play knight d5, hitting the queen. This is a nice little queen trap here. And if the queen moves to d6, keeping an eye on c7, then white's going to proceed with d takes on c5, hitting the queen. After queen takes on c5, now bishop f4, hitting the knight. And if the knight is defended by d6, then white has a lovely win with the move b4 hitting the queen, because the queen really doesn't have anywhere to go to, very short of flight squares. The only one available is c6, but if the queen moves to c6, then white's going to pick up the queen by bishop b5, pinning the queen to the king, forcing the capture. Queen takes on b5, which allows now knight takes on c7, which forks the king and the queen, and white here is winning. In the game Reti against Dunkelblum in 1914, I believe Reti went for, or Dunkelblum did the bishop takes d4 line, and Reti queen takes d4, queen f6. Just recapping these moves again. Knight b5 hitting the pawn on c7 after king d8, queen c5, threatens the mate on f8 and threatens c7, where white is winning. So this has been the Reti trap in the Three Knights. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.